Red side, obviously one of the OP we've seen loads of time, nothing really outrageous, and you can go for the Silas option, but we only seen that work from a few teams. Seraphine, as we already established earlier, really broken on the 12.12, and Yumi, despite receiving nerfs, has still not been nerfed enough for a lot of teams. Still a very annoying one to go for. Wukong being banned on blue side, very interesting, but it also just speaks that, they have different opinions that they want to go for on the side of Mirage. They put Cody's on the likes of a Seri instead, not prioritizing a blind pick on either, which makes sense when you're playing into Ragnar, but we've seen a loads of other teams, specifically LDLC, favor the blind pick as well on Dion, and then Lucian just being taken away, so you can't really fight with that early aggression on the bot side, but still LDLC, they've answered back with a quick Kalista pick to continue with that. Now moving into the second ban phase while we're going out here, that we will have Renata coming out, just the pairings as well from the Kalista, and it seems that we're a little bit in the future, so bear with us. We'll be able to predict the entire draft coming up in just a bit. Yeah, Jake? Yeah? Please say something.
What's going on? I feel like have you ever seen the film Looper?
I have not. I've seen Memento. Can we talk about Memento?
Memento's playing in the game as well.
Yeah.
He's the jungler. I need to go and look what Memento is about. I've seen it, but I need to remind myself.
So it's basically about this guy who's lost his memory and has he's lost, not only has he lost his memory, but he also has short-term memory. So he has to write everything down with notes and pictures. And every day he kind of just relives a day and tries to find out who actually, what happened in his life and who he is. And then there's some murder or something like that as well. And every day he has to relive his entire day. So he has to look through his notes. And then all of a sudden he starts questioning himself as well and what's actually happening. It's a very interesting movie. I had to watch it while I was studying cinematography.
So you studied cinematography?
I did.
So why can't you frame yourself in the middle of your camera properly?
Well, I like sitting here.
Sorry, my bad. That's rude of me. I apologize. But what I wanted to say is the reason it was so difficult for me to say to really grasp what was going on is because in the film Looper, it's like he gets thrown through locations, and I feel like we've really been put through the washing machine today, Gorborg. There's a draft, and then the draft gets taken away from us.
Would you say you're washed?
I don't think I was ever. The thing about being washed up, Gorborg, is you had to be washed in at some point, and I don't think I was ever washed in. So I don't know, my washed up, what can you compare it to? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. But maybe we're in the middle of that. Maybe this is the peak. Maybe this is where you shine. Maybe this is where
it's like how they say, have you ever seen that thing that's like, I wish they would tell you that you're currently going through the good old days.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're going through the good old days now?
I've already been through them.
Oh. Well, in any case.
But maybe we can look forward to better days.
That is also true. Brighter days, Gorborg.
Yeah.
What do you, if you could, so let's just say now we're in season 12,
yeah,
season 15, like predicting the future. What's a big thing that's going to be in the game 3 years from now?
Probably a champion that duplicates itself, and then you like
really?
LeBlanc clones or Shaco clones or something like that. But it's gonna have way more value and it's gonna be way more annoying playing against. Riot's gonna be like, you know what? How about that clone mechanic we're never really polished out? Yeah. How about that? What if we actually just have a guy that just proper shadow clone? We already have the Wukong W, but this one will actually move. It's gonna be a mixture of Nico W, Wukong W, everything. It's gonna use spells. That's what you're using. You're using your clone to attack with. It's gonna be annoying.
I think that's an interesting idea. That could be good. They could call it. It would be like a mitosis thing.
Yeah.
Oh, we can see the full draft now. Okay, cool. There's a Zac pick.
So Zac in the jungle. Well, we didn't see Zac in the jungle in LEC, but we did see a Zac top lane, and I think Zac is one of those few champions. Yeah, exactly. And I think Zac is one of those few champions that I'm actually surprised we haven't seen more of, at least on a European regional league scale, because of the fact that, as already talked about earlier today, a lot of the junglers are looking to facilitate lanes. And one of the junglers by already level 4 that will come through more finicky gank angles where wards don't always cover the spots where they're going to be shooting into lanes from are Zac, right? 3 points in your E coming in from the mid lane. If you're overstepped, all of a sudden you're going to have to burn flash. But while that is very interesting, we finally get a Rumble mid as well. And a very curious thing with Rumble is that he was actually one of these champions that by the durability changes didn't properly get nerfed. He had, so you know how every shield and everything in the durability patch got nerfed a little bit? Rumbles with the scaling that came through was only nerfed in the late game. And that means that it's still the same base shield you have level 1. And Rumble's W is the last skill you max. So Rumble actually indirectly from the durability changes got a buff as well moving forward into this. So I was also a little bit surprised we haven't seen too much of this. And the only reason I checked this was because in solo queue, I got absolutely blasted by a Rumble mid. I was like, why is he so OP? Why is he doing so much damage? Went back, look at the patch note, small buff to the guy. No nerf on the durability patches either. So all in all, Rumble just got safer to play.
Yeah. I see there's quite a lot of like OTPs I see playing Rumble, like in like mid-master, like Grandmaster. It's like really broken because you just do pretty exorbitant amounts of damage that is like rather unexpected. Talk to me about Zeri on 12.12 as well. I feel like we're not really seeing it mid as much, I can imagine. Probably
no.
When we are seeing it in AD carry, I suppose.
It's still an AD carry that will have high value. Like, it's still just as annoying to play against with the crit. Yes, it's been shut down a little bit, but as an AD carry, it can still very much be annoying. I think in the early laning phase into the likes of Kalista, it's going to be a little bit difficult, specifically if you get hit by Winter's Bite, just due to the fact that while Braum is a more neutralizing lane, well, Kalista goes Hail of Blade, so one auto attack or, one stun coming through this champion will still be incredibly annoying. So it wouldn't actually surprise me to see that when we go in-game that Cody's Son has actually opted in for the cleanse, just due to the fact that you want to hit that late game. You want to be able to outscale the Kalista, while Kalista kind of wins the laning phase.
I think we do actually have a head-to-head today. I think it's between Rangjin and Iker. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that matchup in terms of how they've been coming up against each other, how they're going to be stacking up in this matchup?
I think Rangjin is very interesting because he was one of those players where people were always like, oh, he was a sub on some of the LCK teams, right? And he was going to have that experience moving forward to some of the European regional leagues, much like people thought Howrah did when he entered the NLC. So he did come in with a little bit of hype as well towards this Mirage roster, but not really been able to find his mark properly in the team just yet. Over on the other end, though, he's going to have, his work cut out for him because he's going to have to contain Iker. Iker is one of the best performing mid laners we have currently. Always up in the CSD by the 15-minute mark. Jungle proximity, a little bit higher than majority of the lanes, but they also have incredibly good jungle mid synergy on LDLC with Iker and Yike. And then the kill participation. This guy does a lot for his team. He moves around, where on the side of Mirage, Rank-U, and not just Rank-U, but all of the members are way more individual players than they're really team players. They still really haven't found their team core, how they want to play the game together, and that's also why they lose quite a lot of games. And then the damage department, of course, DPM per minute. Iker is relentless. We've seen him on control mages, we've seen him on Kali, we've seen him on the LeBlancs. This guy pretty much does everything you want. We've seen him on the Vega, we've seen him on the Corki. He's just a jack of all trade.
Yeah, I think jack of all trades is definitely the best way to describe it there. Whereas for me, Rangjin, you kind of see him on all these mobile mages. He likes the Azir, he likes the Corki, he likes the Orianna, stuff like this. Can get kind of somewhat of a lead in some of these lanes, but then it never really gets translated. Obviously, a lot of it is due to the rest of the map kind of being set on fire around him. But yeah, I feel like really has his work cut out for him. I feel like Mirage are a team that like just everyone has to play well. They don't really have a person that's going to be standing up high enough, and it was the case of you can stand up high, but whose shoulders are you stepping on? Who's allowing and facilitating him to kind of be the carry in this game?
But with that, let's throw it to a quick promo video and we'll be right in game.
He's gone to get water. Yeah. Been running up that hill. Been running.
Had to get some water. Meanwhile,
are you getting water in the background there, Gorbog?
I was. It's important to stay hydrated. Check your posture. Get some water. Stay hydrated. Obviously.
I was gonna say you just showed the whole broadcast your feet for free as well. What's going on, man?
That's a lack of capital there. That's
yeah,
my
that's
bad.
A serious lack
of today.
Serious lack of business investment.
I know.
Business foresight, rather. Speaking of foresight, speak to me a little bit more about how these drafts interact with each other.
I think they're very interesting, just due to the fact that, one of them a little more neutralizing. I think both of them are something that we can all agree on is not what we see so much in the meta. But obviously, Yike loves being on the Kha'Zix. We've seen him on it so many times. He does so well. He opts in for the Bruiser build where he goes for the Gore Drinker. And on LDLC, it is very much about finding these picks. You got great skirmish-heavy composition. You love creating cross-maps as well, because when you hit level 6, well, obviously you'll have the Cannon Barrage available to you too. And if you can just get a pick on pretty much anyone that's not a sack, well, they should be dead with the amount of damage coming through. But on Mirage side as well, I think their composition is quite straightforward as well. We've said it countless times. If you're a team that's struggling, play easy to execute. All you really want here is find team fights. You got the Na, Equalizer, you got, Nautilus Ultimate, you got a sack to engage. Finding these correct moments is a lot easier when you have this many tools to move forward. Looks like we're in game.
Oh, we're in game.
3 minutes.
3 minutes in. Wow. Well, anyway, welcome to what is our first game of the day. Obviously here, Gorball, Mirage versus LDLC. Somewhat tossed into the fray, but fray not, as we are going to be bringing you this game as it comes forward. Yike's been passed towards the spot lane now. You can see Extra Kick and DOS going rather aggressively into Raxo. It's going to be difficult to find too much. Going to need to get that Brawn passive working if they're going to get anything.
And that's what we're talking about all the time. You want to see that, but I think we've already had early game action just due to the fact that Cody Sun's cleanse is currently coming off cooldown. You can see it's going to be up in just a little bit. So I can imagine that Extra King and DOS was already looking for shenanigans in the early game.
Yeah, and I think it's, par for the course very much when you go for this Kalista pick that we see time and time again. You can see, pair it up with the right support. I think DOS on this Brawn should be able to, at least in the early levels, be able to get onto Cody Sun, get onto Raxo as well. And then, actually, interesting enough, one thing that I've been drawn attention to is, whilst I think typically you would imagine this Rumble to have kind of kill pressure in this lane and go for something like the Ignite or the Teleport, it's actually opted in for heal. Is that something that you think is strange, Gorball?
I mean, I've certainly not seen it before. But I guess the extra movement speed you get from the heal to run people down can be a luxury to have. So I'm just going to go behind Fury Crafting. I'm no expert on Rumble mid. I'll be the first to throw that out there. So I think for me, Rangjung is just going to show me more like why you done it. And I think a lot of it comes down to Fury Crafting instead. Having that extra survivability if Yikes comes down for one of those 2v2 kills could potentially be something you're looking for. Especially if you realize that you're not going to have any kill pressure whatsoever. Going for defensive summon as well is, not too bad. But again, then the question could have been why not TP. But I mean, he's obviously had some idea with it.
Yeah, completely agree with you there as well. In terms of this matchup on the top side as well, you can obviously see Gangplank versus Gnar playing out relatively similar to how we'd imagine it does. Obviously, Ragnar having a slight lead as well. But I wanted to bring attention to the Zac as well, because Zac is a champion I know a little bit about. It's something that I play relatively often as well. You are kind of locked into full clearing. You want to get that level 4 mark before you can really have any kind of activity on the map. You can see he's going in for around about his 3rd full clear at this point. Not really been able to find anything too much. And I feel like with the Kha'Zix matchup, you've seen Yike pick it time and time again, like you're saying, Gorball. That to me, again, is a champion that can handshake the full clear. So, but I think we'll eventually just scale up to a point where they get more done, no?
Yeah, Kha'Zix is an interesting champion because to some degree he is a scaling champion as well, due to the fact that you need to hit your ultimates and get your abilities evolved. But I'm gonna shut up about that for now. In fights breaking out.
Momento's in, Rumble Ult goes down. Yikes got the dragon, but it's gonna get taken out. Last stick of Ignite does secure the first blood for Mirage. DOS has flashed over the wall as well. Memento does not drop down into the passive. And it's a kill for Mirage, but it is the dragon secured by Yike and his trusty smite.
Yeah, so just off the bat, things that both teams can be happy about in some regard. Getting the first blood on towards your Rumble, getting Rangjung going. If he can continuously have push in the mid lane, well, he can influence the rest of the side lanes. On the other end of the coin, well, obviously having early game objective stacking is what you're looking for, especially once GP starts having that Cannon Barrage available as well. And when you are having a bot lane to play through when you have Kalista.
With you on that one there, Gorball. Interesting enough, like the Rumbles purchased the Boots of Swiftness as the first thing they've got on. I feel like slow resistance pretty decent into the enemy team, but I feel like it's in contrast. I mean, for me, Rumble mid, traditionally what you'd see in the top lane as well, you want to be rushing Sorks, you want to be just going for this high octane damage output. But, in contrast to that, obviously the heals so far, I think even the Comet somewhat, I'm not entirely sure what the rune setup you normally would go is, but even beyond that, compounding on that, the Boots of Swiftness, this is a slightly less aggressive Rumble than I think we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't know the full runes, and I'd love to check that afterwards as well. He might have even gone Celerity if you want to, go full movement speed and get that extra from, of course, the Sorcerer Tree. I'm not sure how much that's going to matter. It seems like it's too much movement speed when you already have Swifties, when you already have heal. But it's going to be a curious thing to check earlier. Speaking of the map state currently, full clearing. Jungles, as you mentioned, bot side has been cleared, so they're getting aggressive down with Exa kicking. Does flash forward.
Forwards onto Raxo. Raxo did get stunned by the Brawn Passer there. One more will do it. That's a 2v2 kill. Rexa kick. Cody Sun might drop as well. Gangplank ult does end up securing that as well, and it's a 2v2. They get both members of Mirage. This is a really good bounce back from LDLC.
Yeah, we have it. Something to play for the bot lane of LDLC. Once again, they show up on the Kalista. And we talked about this lane. Having a Braum is usually a neutralizing pick, but picked up with Kalista, you know, really easy to get those Winter Spite passive procced, finding a stun, finding the aggression, finding the kills. And now moving forward to that second Drake we talked about earlier, well, that could quite conveniently be more in the favor of LDLC, but the action continues on the top side.
Rumble ult. Can it get stunned? That Memento. Easy on into the ult. Some a lot of healing from that passive stats. Yikes. Stuck between a rock and a hard place here, unfortunately. That's another kill for Rangjun. And I feel like this is the potency that we haven't quite touched on, Bullfog, but that Zac, if it can create kind of a target selection in terms of getting onto Ica, bringing him into the Rumble ult, there's a lot of synergy that can be created there.
Yeah, and I think another thing that LDLC didn't take into account there, which I see all the time from solo queue teammates as well, if you 2v2 kill enemy bot lane, 8 minutes into the game, they will respawn with home guards, which means that since the death time is only about those 10 seconds, they'll be out of the map before you get out of the map, and they'll be fast as well with the home guard. So Yike, he's like, okay, enemy bot lane has been killed. I can look for something on the top side. Before he knows it, Raxo is there creating a man advantage. So while once again you mentioned it, really good pickup by the Zac and something you have to respect. Fact of the matter was they also find with a good support room.
Ooh, Ranger doesn't have flash here. They're gonna hand the kill over to Ica, and it's such a back and forth affair here, Goldborg. I feel like 1 second Mirage are finding a 2v2 kill on the top side, the next second they're getting punished. Cody Sun's waiting in the wings here, trying to see what the rotational play is. Sees DOS on the red buff here. Memento's going to go in to try and secure his Raptor camp here. He finds a nice Q onto Yike and DOS. DOS doesn't have flash, but Ica is off to the side to help facilitate this play. And it's such a highly contested affair in this early game, Goldborg.
Most definitely is. I think they're not slowing down any of them. And even in a situation like this, where LDLC have Exakick on the bot side pushing in the lane, and Cody Sun had the first move, LDLC are still opting in for the plays, and they're still getting away with some of the aggression that they have. Look at the jungle right now in terms of where the vision is. From the side of Mirage, they have defensive vision towards the ramp in towards River, so they get the intel if someone goes for the invade. But currently, LDLC have a lot of intel around the red buff, around the Raptors. The tracking of Memento is going to be super easy now, and that's going to be crucial moving forward into this game.
Yeah, I think being able to track Memento, like you're saying, going to give so many dividends, and especially when we talked about earlier, Goldberg, one of the points we brought up is both of these champions going to be doing a very similar thing in terms of just ball clear, look for opportunities. You can see Memento's getting the better of these opportunities, and I feel like that can really start to swing the favor of the game in their favor if they can look for these extended skirmishes, get the Rumble ult down, get some of the CC down, and this is the time where you feel like Mirage has to strike, and they're doing it right now.
Yeah, Equalizer was up if they wanted to look for it. Once again, vision control, very much in the favor of LDLC, but in terms of positioning around the objective, Mirage has the better posturing right now. Bot lane has just been pushed in by Exakick, which means he's going to be able to join his team, and while the lane is getting crashed, well, Cody Sun, he doesn't want to miss it, will in turn then just give the pressure over to LDLC, and they now start off the second objective down towards this bottom side Drake.
You see, it could be a similar angle of contest to previously, but they're just not there in time. Rumble didn't have that ultimate angle. We didn't see it play out quite the same way we saw in the first Dragon instance, whereby a kill was traded over. But now with 2 Dragons, I feel like Mirage haven't done enough to really quell the storm that is being built by LDLC. There's a team that we know so well for just building up these incremental leads, and it feels like they get leads almost out of nowhere, it feels. I mean, Mirage have been the more active team on the map, I think it's fair to say, outside of the bot lane, but still LDLC 1.5k gold ahead, 2 Dragons, Volvo.
Yeah, I mean, some of it comes from the laning advantages, some of it comes from the kill advantages as well. But LDLC, just traditionally speaking, in LFL, is a slow team in the early game. And once we reach that 14-minute mark to 20 minutes, that's where they'll put the, you know, the pedal to the metal, or metal to the pedal, whichever order that is in. You're gonna have to correct me. Either way, they're a team that really has the... Thank you so much. They're a team that really has their strives there in the mid-game and usually find, you know, leads up to those 3 to 4k gold leads. So the worst is still yet to come from Mirage, which of course is not a good side when LDLC already has the gold lead.
Yeah, completely. And I feel like even despite kind of, I mean, obviously Yike falling a little bit behind in the affairs so far, but he's still able to just find these objective secures. I feel like Yike has like one of the best smites I've ever seen, and I feel like it only gets amplified on Kha'Zix. I don't know if you remember the previous game, was one of the previous games he's played Kha'Zix in the LFL this split, when he got that Elder steal that just actually turned the game around in a game that looked like they were going to lose. I think it might have been against Venus Academy, actually. I need to be corrected if I'm wrong. But this guy's smite just gets buffed by like 30% when he's on Kha'Zix, and it's really quite mental to watch. I think that's something that we need to keep an eye on.
It definitely is, but so far it's been a little bit slower game from Yike, and it's been way more about the bottom side from LDLC. Now the cannon garage goes loose, but here comes Rangjun.
Rumble ult. Rangjun doesn't quite have the flash available. Will do so in a second or so.
What?
Oh, he does get that E. That was a lot of damage there. Braum wasn't able to block it. Rangjun finds his third kill of the game here. Those boots of swiftness. Memento's here as well. And that's a further 2 kills in the bot side from Mirage. And it's so back and forth right now.
But this is evolved Rangjun. I feel like having this extra mobility to move around the map is allowing him to have way more pressure on the opponent than he usually have in some of the games. If you remember back to the pre-game we had and we showed the statistics, usually Rangjun does not have a lot of kill participation. But Ika does, and he's moving down towards the bot.
Mento has to use that ult there in response to aggression from Yike. Doing so much damage with that Mythic.
You know what? I think I'm just going to try and shut up for majority of this game because the plays are not really allowing me to dive into analysis, you know?
It's one of those ones where, like, I looked back at one of the games we had previously. I think it was Game Ward versus Carmine Corp in the last day of last week. And there was about 7 kills, about 30 kills into the game. We're at 14 minutes now, and I know it's a lower kill game now, obviously with the durability patch, but this feels like a very active game so far.
And let's see how it actually goes once again. So down towards the bot side, getting aggressive with DOS once again, finds a good Glacial Fissure, but gets flashed out in the end, and it's just going to be these classic extended traits. But this is not really what we have to pay attention to. You want to look on towards the minimap. LDLC already had the intel that Rangjun is moving down, but they're not respecting it. They're sticking around, and because Exakick sticks around for so long, it allows Rangjun to join up with his bot laners and go for the kill. And then DOS, yeah, that's unlucky. So I think it comes down to the fact that Exakick procs the Rend. Because he goes for the Rend, obviously he stands still, and DOS is not ready for Exakick to stand still, and because of that, well, gets hit, pinned by the harpoon.
Well, that's the problem when you're reading 2 different books. It's very hard to be on the same page, but Mirage are going to be starting up this Rift Herald now. Memento, God, Zach looks so funny when he gets like 5 points into E. He just goes like absolutely dive bombing, wow, 3 screens away. And I think that's one of the things that we need to like start talking about now. Now that he's at level 9, he's obviously got the E fully maxed out. He can find such creative engage angles, and I think especially paired up with Raxo having the Hex Flash, Rangjun with his ultimate as well. I feel like this is something that LDLC potentially won't have been prepared for, because it's not something that you'll have seen traditionally in stage matches before. Maybe it's starting to be something that's more celebrated and played in scrims, but I think it's hard to account for some of the angles that Memento is going to be able to come from.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting as well, because usually we don't see Mirage be the team with this good of a grasp of the game. And now with Rift Herald, they can create pressure in the mid lane, moving into that third Herald of third Drake. So as we see here, proactive Rift Herald moves down towards the bot.
He is spotted out here. I think Memento's gone on towards Ike here, as LDLC stop out this Rift Herald. It's a bad Rift Herald, to be honest with you, from Mirage and Co. They never get the... Let me get it off here. I feel like there was a disconnect in terms of they saw Iker on the flank and wanted to kind of stop him from entering there, but they also didn't manage to get the Rift Herald in either.
Alright, but mid lane pressure has still been gained down towards the bottom side of the map. They are getting pressure. Momentum gets out.
Momentum certainly not with him at the moment. He does get taken down rather low. Obviously, we'll have that passive available as well. Now it's Yike's time to shine. They know where he is. They know what flank he's operating in, but he's chosen to go into the pit here directly. Iker flash forward. No Mega Gnar available for Mirage. Does seem to be the case. If it's a bit of a faulty smite there from Yike, but here comes the fight now. The Rumble ult does come down, but it's been mostly avoided. It's not splitting off too much. Exakick's in the front line, and he's doing so much damage. He finds a double Rend and doesn't get taken out. Yike's in now as well. And Mirage fall apart at the seams. Bad Ludus over the wall uses the ultimate, but he gets to get taken out.
by Yike. Flashes over the wall now, needs a W, takes the Q. He walks out through the turret, doesn't go back, says, where's Memento? And now he's going to get taken out, unfortunately, by Memento. Rather strange pathing there from Yike at the end, but that's the smite. And I feel like this all came down to the fact that Mirage is not able to capitalize on this fight, Gulborg.
Nope, and I mean, the fight is still going. Memento does have the passive, but let's see how this pans out for him.
Iker's got to do a good Q here or he won't get this. Okay, yeah, he's done it. Very good there from Iker.
What is happening?
Raxo's dead as well, I think.
What is happening? So, what is happening?
Oh, Mirage, what are you doing?
I am baffled as to what happened there, but to go back to where everything seemed... No, is this still going?
No.
Okay, we're done.
They just won't stop, Gulborg. They just won't stop.
Fair enough. Execute, absolute amazing maneuverability in that team fight. The way he stays alive on the Kalista there and still manages to find Raxo before hiding out really just shows a good presence of mind in the middle of a team fight. And let's have a look at it once again. Keep your eyes on him because he comes in through the flank. He kites back from the hook. And this is a situation where he gets, piled up by the Nautilus hook. Should be dead. But the way he plays this and just goes for the kill before moving forward, finding the kill afterwards as well, to going back, being peeled by his teammates, absolutely beautiful. And Bad Lulu, not much to do after that situation. And the other kills, well, I don't want to talk about them. I would rather want to pretend they didn't happen.
That was just such fancy feet from Execute there. And I feel like Mirage are never going to dance again, Gulborg. Because, Guilty Feet
has got no rhythm, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, but most certainly does not. And it looked good for Mirage in the early game, but now, behind 4K, 3 Drakes down, second Rift Herald has actually already been taken, so it's the Baron we're looking at here. They're looking for Iker, Rangjung, Momentum. Let's see what you got.
It's the creative angles we spoke about, and it's just Iker's at this point now where he can just find return damage. He just doesn't really care about these Zac engages. It has to come from Fog. It has to be quick. It has to find multiple lines of CC before Iker can find these ults away now. And now Exekick, back with an Immortal Shield Bow. All it could take here is a Careless Whisper, and they might be able to take out Mirage. Mirage aren't quite able to respond. You can see the team are actually coming through now. Brody Sun is in, and it should be Exekick gets taken out by Gnar here. Teleport comes out from Ragnar, trying to find some barrels here, trying to find a lot of damage here. He's choked up in the choke. And LDLC might have gone a little bit too aggressively there as Mirage are able to respond and take out Exekick.
It was an awkward position to fight in. A lot of the CC got layered over from the side of Mirage. Because of that, Exekick never got to play that fight. Even if he had Flash. Wasn't allowed to use it. Fight might still continue. Mirage, they are hungry today. Oh,
absolutely.
Well, not that hungry.
Bad Lulu's Gnar. Peckish, I think is the word.
Now, resets are coming through. Exekick is going to be out of the map. Bot lane is pushing in. Mid lane is going to be pushing in. And the members of LDLC, because of the map state, can still look up towards this top side of the map. They have Iker pushing away. Resets are coming through from Mirage now. So, it was a long fight, but the tower should go over in favor to LDLC.
And you really feel like both of these teams just want a piece of each other in this game. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Like just completely refusing to stop fighting. And I'd just like to make a formal plea to both teams, LDLC, Mirage, if you can hear me, please stop fighting so Gulborg can do his job.
No, it's
all
fine.
he wants to do is analyze the game, and he can't do it.
We'll get loads of other opportunities for it. If this is the game where we're going to have a bit more fun with a couple of kills, the composition's a little different as well, why not? Now, next Drake, or rather fourth Drake, for LDLC, of course, the Soul will be spawning in less than 1 minute. Setup is coming through. DOS, pink wards up towards the ramp here. Got deep vision as well towards that red buff bush. Can move in towards the Raptors afterwards. Spot lane being shoved in by Ragnar too. Every single perimeter around this Drake is being cared for and nurtured by LDLC, making sure that it's going to be in their favor. Momentum alone right now. Can you face check this?
You've made it sound like LDLC are like gardeners of this jungle. They've like nurtured and cared for it. Well, you know what happens if you trespass in an angry farmer's garden. You might just get stung. And, God, that would be a bumblebee. I don't know why I've said stung there. But anyway, this could be a very important, well, this definitely will be an important fight here for the soul, for LDLC. Mirage are going to want to try and find their way in here. Memento gets chunked out, but he finds a good engage, and Yike might have got in slightly too aggressively. Flash over the wall into the Kha'Zix ult is going to mean that he doesn't get taken out here. Iker, flash forward, Rangjun
have that heat bar available. One more Q.
Oh,
Rangjun's so low now. And off to the side there, Exekick was taking out the Dragon the whole time now. And I feel like with this Hex deck of the Dragon available, so much ability to seize up Mirage's composition is going to be granted.
Yeah, and also just the base that you're getting here, ability haste, attack speed, you get slow now on those attacks as well, not only just from the auto attacks, also just from an REQ. It's going to be so helpful in terms of setting up the charm afterwards. Of course, Iker, he's gone for the Luden's Echo build. Glacial Everfrost, or Everfrost rather, just doesn't have the same kind of damage it did in the past, so, you know, they're looking to blow up people, and speaking of blowing people up...
Yeah, I feel like it's a bit, well, you'd think it was a bit overzealous, but Bad Luda's obviously going to be off to the side here. No Gore Drinker will be helping out Yike there. Yike drops for his 4th kill of the game, and obviously as one of the highest KDs in the league, he's not going to be too happy about getting this many deaths in the game. Rangjun, Pro Belt's away, DOS Ultimate. It's going to be a little bit...
ambitious,
I think it's fair to say. I think they needed to lay out the CC, obviously not on the same page there, unfortunately. But I think it's fair to say that LDLC continue to run over this game.
You can tell that DOS is a, you know, glass half full kind of man with that ultimate coming through.
Yeah, it might be the glass half full of wine, I think.
Well, a little too much to the side. I'm sure he'll kind of recalibrate where that ultimate is going to be going later. Exekick, looking for 1v2.
Doesn't dodge from the Q. He does get flashed on. Ultimate is used. Exekick can't get Cody Sun with the Ren there. It's a good flash of Memento with the ultimate just to really get on there. You realize he wouldn't find the extra Q angle. Needed to get that extra bit of CC to make it so that Exekick couldn't kite and dash his way around there.
But, I mean, individual mistakes coming out from LDLC. They are really not paying Mirage the respect they may deserve, at least a little bit, in terms of the composition they have drafted. Loads of individual pickups here. You know, first killing Yike. Now Exekick as well. It's slowing down the tempo just a little bit, and while they still have that 4k gold lead, objective bounties are still active for Mirage. You can't continue making these mistakes. You want to make it as clean as possible, specifically when we have the lowest ranked team against the highest ranked team in the league. We've said it loads of time, LDLC, looking like one of the best teams we have in the RL. This game, while it still shows dominant, doesn't really still show the same full force we usually see from them.
This is a slightly less disciplined LDLC than I feel like we're used to seeing. And,
yes,
you know, I can understand it. You know, you play 11 games of just very clean-cut League of Legends where you don't really, you know, exist outside of the boundaries of very serious corporal action. You can have a game like this every once in a while, but you can see Memento might have gone up a little bit too far here to get that ward. That's going to be him dropping out from the passive. No teleport in response to save him, and that should be Baron here, very simply. But this is the LDLC we're more used to seeing. Capitalizing on the mistakes that they can see in front of them, and then executing the game from that point onwards.
Yeah, you can already see on the minimap Mirage, they've decided to forfeit this, looking for bounties instead. Bad Lulu pushing in the bottom lane, you have Cody Son pushing in the mid lane. Equalizer would be a hilarious steal, although I don't expect it, and yeah, there we have it. Resets will now come through. Will they have the time to stick around the mid lane to pick up their second objective bounty? Looks to me like they will.
Yeah, and I think getting that is... it's a bit of... It's not even... I was going to say consolation, Gulbo. It's a bit more of a pittance, I think, at this point. You are just... You know, you're getting a tuppence, but it is a pittance, I think it's fair to say there. Obviously, still 5k gold down. That's only going to increase as LDLC start to knock on the tier 2s of the bot lane and tier 2 in the mid lane, and really start to nurture and develop, like you were saying previously, this vision line that they created in the bot side jungle as well.
I also just realized that we have Zac and Cody on the Rift. Got Zac the champion, you got
Zac
Cody
and
Son.
Cody? How have we not realized that?
Yeah, I was going to say that seems like a lost opportunity.
They are not living the sweet life this game.
Oh, they are definitely not.
They are definitely on the Zac and Cody season that's on a boat, and that boat is sinking.
Most definitely is. And
you know,
who's
Mr. Mosby in this scenario?
I mean, to me, I just feel like it's Rakta, you know, throwing a tantrum from far away. The Cannon Barrage coming down as well. And speaking from far away, LDLC now playing on 2 lanes, pushing in the mid lane, pushing in the bottom lane. Not having to play that full 3 lanes is way easier in this meta, specifically when you have the Baron, you have the Soul. No one gets caught off guard, and you keep the pressure off. Now Member's going to be moving into the mid lane, and when that happens, well, Ragnar, he's going to push in the top side, or bottom side rather, and pick up the turret.
Yeah, and this is what we spoke about just now, Gulborg. The idea that this gold lead, although they're getting some, you know, they're getting some consolations in terms of those objective bounties, that gold lead is only going to continue to surmount. And as they build this vision line, they build this control. If they can open up the base here, they've got a very assured path to the Elder Dragon. Memento tries to find an angle. Memento, time and time again, is only really able to get a lot of effectiveness onto
onto Iker. And Iker's just not your man. Iker's such low cooldown on that ultimate. He's going to be able to react every time. I feel like it's almost arrogant to think you're going to be able to get Iker at this point.
I mean, they have to look for something. They're really trying, but way too much mobility. You already said it. Now, once again, mid lane inhibitor falling. Bot lane inhibitor falling. Only Nexus turret standing now. Ragnar recalling. Does have that teleport available if they're looking for the end. They're going to look for the top lane instead, and the siege continues.
The siege does continue, and it's not a contested siege. 3 inhibitors going to drop here. And this is just before this Elder Dragon. You feel like Mirage very much locked into their base. Yeah, of course, they're going to get, you know, 3 lanes of super minions, and that might help them get to some key item spikes, but it's not going to help them in terms of when LDLC do get this Elder Dragon. And LDLC are lingering somewhat. Memento goes in onto Doss here, is engaged. Here comes the ultimate out, but he gets blown up almost immediately by Iker. And it's 2 kills in response. And why this looked like a counter engage, it looked like a lingering LDLC, but lingering is the will of Mirage in this game, and their kingdom to the hearts of a win will be taken away rather briefly. Ragnar actually might have gone a little bit too aggressively on the turret here, but in response, Bad Lulu will get taken out here. And that demolish on the turret will be demolishing the base of Mirage, and they will be handed their 11th loss, as LDLC will be moving from their 11th win to their 12th win. The undefeated streak does continue. Exekick wants that final kill. Can he quite get it? Healing from the Nexus turret. Yes, he will. That is the ace. And LDLC move on to 12-0.
It could have been cleaner from LDLC, but they stay undefeated in the league. Our first place team